speaking about more racial tension and more racial problems, right? It's not it's kind of real out here in the field, right? So I'm putting some pictures on your screen of a historically black church that was burned down overnight, and the justification. Well, on the side of the building, you can see it has "Vote Trump." Now, because I view, and here's a third picture, because I view everything through the lens of skepticism. My first, and I'll be honest with you, hate me if you want. My first reaction was, what white person was really dumb enough to put "Vote Trump" on there to implicate themselves, right? It kind of reminded me of when all these white people who paint Black Lives Matter at the scene of a crime trying to implicate Black Lives Matter. But black folks, we're not that stupid, y'all. We know how to, we can get away with some stuff when we want to. So that was my first gut reaction. But just the conversations around this really kind of underscore the violence itself, right? The narrative that's been spun around this, the conversations online around this kind of actually makes the case that this is not only done by white people, but by alt-right Trump supporters, but it furthers the problem in the first place, where we are in this place that is anything but post-racial. We're in this weird space where it's the expectation should be, the expectation of black people is that everything should be okay, right? They look at black people and think we have nothing to complain about. Simultaneously, they're burning down not just churches, but the lives of black people. They're burning down the lives of black communities. They're eviscerating black wealth, right? Black existence is in trouble in America on the average, right? But simultaneously, they're telling us to be quiet. And that's exactly what's happening with this church situation, right? The church situation is whether or not this was done by somebody who expressly wanted to say vote for Trump. The situation is one where it's really silencing a deeper problem for the sake of pretending like everything is okay. I want to get you guys' thought on that.
Well, I mean, I think it's selective pattern recognition. I think people want to find the patterns in all these police shootings and somehow make them fit this narrative that black people hate police just instinctively because they're animals, but they refuse to see the pattern of violence directed towards black communities by other communities within America. They just don't want to acknowledge that racism still exists, because to acknowledge racism is to, against the 60s, we've done nothing but go backwards. Like since the moment schools were anything but resegregate them.
You're breaking up.
It is what it is. Ultimately. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
We're gonna have to get you on a hard line because you were saying some good stuff. Try it one more time. Let's see if we can get it.
Brandon is like me in the early days.
Go ahead, Anoa. He had to punch out. He's going to try it again.
No, but he had a really great point about how, we get so caught up in, we won this one battle or whatever, and this is somehow a victory, and it's not something that we actually have to fight for. I'm about to snitch on myself here. I love watching Married at First Sight. And one of the things that was said on the show is that, like, with marriage, you got to fight for it. Like, it's work. Like, okay, it's not just, we're married and everything's perfect and that's it. And I think that's the same thing when we look at this movement work, when we look at, fighting for equality and et cetera. We have a country that was that's not natural in this country for equality and for other things to actually exist, because that's not the way the country was founded. That's not the principles it was founded upon at all. So we have to continue to fight. You have to continue to work for it. It's not enough that you accomplish this great feat and you celebrate it and it feels great. You still got to work for it. So just like what Brandon was just saying, one of the things I did, it's been 62 years since Brown versus Board of Education, and we have schools that are now, I think it was a school, it's Cleveland, Alabama, I think it is, that's being forced to desegregate, or Cleveland, Mississippi, one of the two, that's being forced to desegregate because they have maintained a system of segregated schools that's unequal. And we've seen it, but we see this all over the place. I mean, there was a great piece today about looking at just supposing Standing Rock and Flint and looking at the color of water and how we look at people of color in our communities and how we're disproportionately affected. And this was focusing on water issues. the EPA is actually doing a listening tour. There are going to be 2 of them, 2 virtual ones coming up about some new rules in terms of chemical discharges involving water sources and stuff. But these are things that are disproportionately affecting our communities, and we're just like, oh, you know, that's behind us, and we have so much progress, and we're gonna fight for each other, and it's just not. That's just not realistic.
You know what? What else you said? Needs to be shown tomorrow. You made me think. I don't know if this is what you were expressly saying, Anoa, but it made me think about this. Is that it's not only on the white side of the equation who are saying everything is okay, everything is fine. You know, racism is over. We're post-racial, right? You also have black people who do it, black conservatives who do it, and you have black neoliberals who do it, who would want to erase the problems, the lingering vestiges of slavery, Jim Crow, and racism. They were and present racism. They want to erase that to weave a narrative that's beneficial to their plight, even if it's detrimental to the plight of so many other African Americans.